Bosco is live at the Morrow County Sheriff's Office tonight with the legacy he leaves behind. A truly tough day out there, Tom.
Yeah, a tough and emotional day, Mike and Jessica. You know, we've seen neighbors come by. You can check out this cruiser here behind us. They've come by dropping off flowers and mementos here on this cruiser. The emotion raw and real this morning as the sheriff had to tell us that one of his deputies was killed in the line of duty.
I don't even know what to say.
Sheriff John Hinton's voice broke a number of times during a news conference as he had to reveal to the public the name of the deputy shot and killed Monday night. 31-year-old Daniel Shearer, shot and killed responding to a domestic violence call. He was trying to de-escalate the situation with a man who appeared to be ready to die. Here's what we know about Deputy Daniel Shearer. He leaves behind his mother and father, who live nearby. He was serving in his first law enforcement job. The sheriff says he hired Shearer in 2021, 4 years ago, and that the deputy was positive and upbeat.
Always had a smile on his face, never in a bad mood. He came to work every day. He loved this community. He loved the job.
Fellow deputies marked cruisers with black tape across the sheriff's
Yo, what up, my 1751 family? I'd like to thank you all for tuning in, man, to yet another 1751 review. And for those of you who haven't yet subscribed to this channel, man, go on ahead and take a moment, man, to go over and smash that subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell notification while you at it. You know, it means so much to me, man. You know, the support takes the channel, you know, a long way, man. But anyway, getting into this, you know, what we're going to be reporting on today, man, is a situation coming out of Ohio. You know, and for those of you who have been rocking with this channel lately, y'all know we've been reporting on Ohio a lot lately. I don't know what's in the air out there, man, but there's a lot going on out there, man, with law enforcement and the community. You know, now, as a lot of you know, we just had a situation where a young guy, Ryan Hinton, was gunned down tragically, you know, by a Ohio police officer. You know, an Ohio police officer that just wasn't any ordinary police officer. This guy had a hate tattoo on his arm. In the body cam footage, you know, at the moment where he was gunning his young brother down, you know, and a lot of these things are not being, you know, brung into question with that case. You know, that officer from that situation, his background and, you know, his mug shot and everything is just being kept out of the public, you know, but his father, Ryan Hinton's father, Rodney Hinton, this distraught father, man, you know, emotional, you know, his son was just gunned down tragically, wrongfully. And this brother, Rodney Hinton, took matters into his own hands. And as a result, this brother, he decided to just, you know, get in his car and to mow down any random officer that he's seen in sight, you know, that day when he was going through the mental, you know, just the mental breakdown from watching that tape of his son being gunned down, you know. But as a lot of you might know from, you know, us covering that case with the brother Rodney Hinton, as many of you may know, this brother is facing the death penalty. The death penalty is on the table, you know, and they're likely going to push for it, you know, to the best of their ability. Now, the reason why he's facing the death penalty is because he's charged with two counts of aggravated murder of a police officer. You know, where they have to, you know, of course, at this point, at this moment, the death penalty It's just a suggestion. It's on the table. You know, the district attorney is encouraging the judge, to bring forth a death penalty punishment for his brother Rodney Hinton Jr. Now, the reason why they're pushing for the death penalty for this brother is because, they're saying that, he intentionally killed this innocent officer who didn't expect it. It was so unexpectedly. It was so unexpected, that it was just a tragedy. The way he mowed this officer down as the officer was directing traffic on traffic duty. This officer was a retired officer, but he continued to do traffic duty. Okay, now, a lot of you, like I said, who've been rocking with this channel, you remember that case. And that case was out of Ohio. That's why I said there's a lot going on in Ohio, man. Now here we have another situation, where this time it's an officer who was tragically gunned down and overkilled by a white man. Let that sink in. By a white man. Now, this situation here, you have a domestic violence dispute. Okay, there's a small community where the homes are sort of spread it out. Everybody have their land, their share of land. Where a lot of you may already know that in the suburbs, a lot of white folk, they have acres of land. So their kids, they like to go out and target practice on their land, in the backyard, out in the woods, and things of that nature. Also the adults. It's like a family tradition. It's like a family thing. They teach their kids to shoot, and they practice in the woods a lot. But this here was no target practice. This was no target practice incident here that we're about to review. Okay, now here you have a member of the community, which a few residents of the community say that this guy, his character, would have never triggered them to believe that he could have committed such act of violence against this police officer. Okay, now this was a domestic dispute. I'm guessing the man had a situation where it was he was experiencing a episode or some type of mental illness episode, and just having a mental breakdown of some sort, during a domestic violence incident. Now, whether it was, the wife, the spouse, or, the fiance, or whoever, this man was already irate. This man was already, acting erratic, to say the least. This man was already in the community, firing his weapon. Some say that the spouse or the fiance's brother, which is the brother-in-law of this suspect, Brian Wilson, some say that Brian Wilson, shot the brother-in-law's truck, but you have residents, neighbors, a neighbor, an older woman of this, of this guy, Brian Wilson, she claimed that when she called the police, she let them know that this man was acting irate. He was demonstrating erratic behavior, and he was firing his weapon. And not only was he firing his weapon, there was some spent shell casing, some spent shells that penetrated her property, which went, which came through her house, through her home, ricocheted off the wall, the fireplace, a few shots from this man just outside, just firing his weapon.
Records show a neighbor warned the deputy Wilson had already fired shots Monday night and said, quote, "If I was going to die tonight, I'd be okay with it." Records also reveal details of a conversation between Wilson and the deputy, with Wilson saying, quote, "Don't come up here," and, quote, "I'm not in the expletive mood." When the deputy tried to de-escalate the situation by talking with Wilson, Wilson said, quote, "I will expletive kill you." Then going on to say, quote, "I'm not expletive playing. You better just expletive go if you want your family to see you tomorrow," and continuing to tell the deputy to leave. Then court records show Wilson approached the steps near the deputy's location and a shootout occurred. Overnight,
in broad daylight. Now when she called the police, the Ohio police, they sent out Officer Daniel Scheer, Deputy Scheer. Now, Deputy Scheer was a 4-year veteran of his department. 4-year veteran, preferably new, still learning the ropes. But I'm guessing 4 years is enough to, have the basics and have some sort of experience, when you're working these type of jobs day in and day out. Now, Officer Scheer was just 31 years old, man. 31 years old. Survived by his mother and father, who they say lived close by. So I'm guessing this brother didn't have any kids. He didn't have any kids. He may have had a wife or fiance or what have you. But this officer, Daniel Scheer, was sent out to this domestic dispute, and arriving on scene of this dispute, he encountered Mr. Wilson. Okay, now when he encountered Mr. Wilson was sitting on the porch with 2 guns on his lap. And it was said that Mr. Wilson gave some commands to the officer. It's quite ironic, right? He was able to not only sit there with guns in hand, in clear sight, but he was also giving commands. His commands was quite interesting. This guy yelled to his officer, "I'm not in the fucking mood. I'm not in the fucking mood. If you want your family to see you tomorrow, then you better get the fuck out of here." Now, the reason I say all this is interesting is because, like I said, we just reviewed an incident where this white police officer tragically gunned down a young black man, Ryan Hinton, who was running with his back turned, obviously afraid and trying to escape, trying to elude law enforcement. Now it's coming out that the young guy didn't have a gun and this officer shot him anyway. Now that was a hunting. We all know that was a hunting. We've seen the tape 100 times and we know that was a hunting. There's no disputing that. But this is the difference. This is the difference in the policing. You know, young guy, young black man running with his back turned, gunned down within 6 seconds of the officer exiting the vehicle. No danger. He's in no danger at all. He's not in fear of his life or anything. You know, but as you can see, he tragically gunned the young man down. Now, the young man's father, Rodney Hinton, who got revenge on just any random officer because he felt like he was wrong. I'm not agreeing to his actions. You know, I don't condone that type of violence. You know, but I'm not to tell another person how to feel. I'm not the one to tell another person how to feel about their family being wrongfully torn apart by law enforcement. You know, but the brother Rodney Hinton, whose son Ryan Hinton was tragically gunned down. Rodney Hinton, like I said, he found a random police officer and mowed him down with his vehicle. And unfortunately, that officer has succumbed to his injury. Right? But what's interesting is Rodney Hinton is facing the death penalty, you know, for mowing his officer down with his vehicle, which is vehicular homicide. Okay? Keep that in mind. Now, let's go back to, you know, this guy, Mr. Brian Wilson, the white man who mowed down Deputy, you know, Daniel Sher. You know, this white man, Mr. Wilson, was able to have so much leeway that he was able to draw his gun, to draw his firearm, and tragically gun his officer down because this officer made a big mistake by not, by not approaching every situation the same, by not approaching this white individual the same as you would approach a black individual, you know. And this is rather interesting, man, because, you know, as this story unfolds about this deputy being gunned down, I'm just waiting, man. I want to see if they're gonna, you know, if they're gonna bring this guy up, Mr. Wilson, on charges, you know, of two counts of aggravated homicide. I'm just waiting, man, because as you know, both of these situations, you know, happened in Ohio. Same state, you know, so there's no excuse about different states and laws and all that. This is the same state. You know, so this white man, he should be facing the death penalty as well. Actually, his murder of this police officer was a lot worse than, you know, the death of the officer who was mowed down by the vehicle. Okay, this man, Brian Wilson, not only did he shout commands to the officer and threaten his life, the officer had every reason to feel threatened for his life, because here you have a white man threatening your life, and he had guns, you know, drawn. How this man was able to get a series of shots, you know, and landing those shots on his target the way that he did is beyond me. You know, because as a black man, I'm not used to seeing, you know, too many white officers have so much leeway. I mean, so much mercy on black folks. You know, we see it all the time, man. When it's a black person, they the first thing they do is they draw their weapon and their fingers on the trigger, and they're ready, man. They're ready. They're ready to unalive you, you know, just on the spot, on arrival, you know, with no good damn reason, man. You know, if you breathe wrong, if you blink wrong, if you reach for your wallet to get your ID, you know, if you reach for your cell phone, anything, you know, you will be tragically gunned down as a black man. But as a white man, you know, the privilege that they have, which a lot of white folk like to deny, you know, that they don't acknowledge that they actually have privilege, you know, over the rest of society here in America, right? Now, this brother, after yelling command to this officer, he actually followed through on his commands. I mean, followed through on his promises that if this officer didn't get out of there and leave him alone, that he was going to kill him. And he also stated that, you know, I am not in the mood. I am not in the mood. And he also said that if I had to die today, you know, I wouldn't be upset. You know, the brother, the man didn't, you know, he was ready to die, to say the least. He was ready to die, man. And obviously, you know, it was the obvious. He was ready to die, man, you know. But the problem here is that officer wasn't ready to kill this man. He wasn't ready to kill this man. You know, and this is why black folks, you know, this is why we have so many questions. You know, this is why we cry out, man, about, you know, the black and white, the way the police the black community versus the white community. You know, because had Officer Scheer approached this suspect the same way, he may have been alive today. And this suspect may have been dead, or, you know, facing criminal charges, you know, for resisting arrest and whatever other violent charges, violent actions that the man may have committed. But if this officer was to act the way these officers act when they're in the black community, he may be still with us today. Okay. Now, this suspect was a very interesting individual, to say the least. The neighbors in the community, they say, you know, his character, he never exuded that type of, you know, aura, that type of, he never gave off that type of energy, you know. So a lot of, you know, people and neighbors in the community say that, you know, it's funny when you know a person, you feel like you know a person, but you don't know the other side.
You know somebody, but then you don't know the other side of them. It's rough.
You know, many people have another side to them that you may never know. You know, you may never witness, but it's there. It's there. You know, evil thoughts that they have yet to act on. You know, all sorts of things that people have going on in their heads, man. And obviously this guy here, he had some sort of mental issue or mental breakdown to the point where, you know, that particular day, he didn't care whether he lived or died. But unfortunately, out of the two, he was the one who lived. Okay? So this is just it's just wild, man, because there's a lot been going on out there in Ohio lately, man. You know, now the sheriff deputy's chief, he took to the podium where he was asked by press. You know, he was asked by the press a few questions. Why don't he mention the name of the man who murdered his deputy? And his response was, why would I mention this guy's name? Why would I? He said something like, this man doesn't deserve to be mentioned. I don't want to make him famous. You know, that's the angle that he was coming from. I don't want to make this suspect famous by mentioning him and showing his picture all over the news. You know, but the problem is It's not about you. It's not about you. You know, this suspect should be plastered all over the news, every news channel. Just like this is being reviewed and react to from the bloggers, you know, all over YouTube. The news, the mainstream news, should be reporting on this situation just as much as they reported on the Rodney Hinton case. You know, but sadly, for some reason, this is not getting a whole lot of coverage, man. You know, it is not getting a whole lot of coverage. They have yet to plaster this guy's face, his mugshot, or on any news channel. You know, you have to go digging to find a photo of this guy. You have to go digging. I had to dig deep just to find a photo of this man. You know, Brian Wilson. Now, okay, this guy, man, you know, they're not trying to put it out there because obviously it's one of their own, man. They're embarrassed. It's one of their own. Right there from within their community, in the white community, not the lower black community, not in the urban community. No, this is in the white community where it's supposed to be. You know, all the flowers smell good, the grass is green. You know, everything just feels beautiful there. This could never happen. No, not in the white community. No, these type of things don't happen. They're not supposed to, right? Man, I don't get it, man. This is some bullshit. You know, the way they treat us, man, as black people, man, you know, compared to the way they treat their own, man, it's just over the top, man. And everyone can see it. Everyone can see it, man. You know, now I'll tell you one thing I would like to see. I would like to see them bring this man into his first court appearance, and I would like to see the officers. I would like to see 200 officers in that courtroom, you know, who appeared with the intentions to intimidate this guy. You know, in his first court hearing, the same way they did to Rodney Hinton Jr. I want to see them have the same type of appearance, the same devious, dark, devilish stares, you know, towards this man. You know, I want to see all the same actions, you know, as I seen with Rodney Hinton, man, because this is overkill. They have body cam footage from this officer on the ground after being tragically gunned down, and they say they can hear the man standing over him still attempting to shoot after the man already emptied his clip into this officer. He emptied his magazine into this officer, and he continued to attempt to overkill this officer. They sit on the body cam footage, on that officer's body cam, they can hear the clicks.
Detail at least 2 bursts of gunfire happened, with a definitive pause between them, and the deputy's body camera recorded the sounds of multiple clicks, consistent with a trigger being pulled, but a gun striking a fired cartridge or an empty chamber. Investigators found 2 guns believed to be fired by Wilson, a semi-automatic pistol.
This man tried to squeeze that trigger multiple times. This man was filled with anger, man. Whatever he was going through, he was ready to die. He wasn't ready to be killed that day, man, or taken to jail. You know, the man was either going to die, you know, he was either going to die or he was going to kill, right? And unfortunately, you know, the outcome was the latter of the two. You know, he ended up tragically gunning down his officer. Now, like I said, man, Ohio, I don't know what's in the air out there, man, but there's a lot of corruption within the police departments all over Ohio. And I'm not just talking about one community. You have another incident that just happened just yesterday, where 2 officers were shot during a traffic stop by 2 black individuals, one who was still on the run.
This morning, the urgent manhunt for a suspect after this traffic stop in Ohio erupts in gunfire. It's all caught on this police body camera as the officers in Columbus, Ohio approach a vehicle just before 7 p.m. Wednesday. Then a passenger jumps out and takes off. There's a chase. Then a passenger trips, turns around, and opens fire, hitting both officers.
Shot fired. Officer down, officer down. I'm hit.
The other officer diving for cover.
Shots fired.
Police also releasing the surveillance video showing the passenger turn and fire. That passenger identified by police as 21-year-old Devontae Dixon. He's now facing charges of attempted murder and felony assault.
Still at large. One who was arrested. But what I'm getting to is that there's been a lot of tension out there in Ohio lately between law enforcement and the members of the community. Everything stemming from the KKK storming into the Cincinnati Lincoln Heights community with assault rifles and masks on their face and chanting racial slurs and threatening the residents of that community. After being investigated for helping and assisting these hateful individuals, this hate group, the investigation was also corrupt because the investigators say they found no corruption. When everyone's seen the footage, the officer called the Klansman brother. He let him ride in his car, told him to take that black shirt off. Take the black shirt off and get in my car and ride with me. This is what the officer told that Klansman so that he could drive him to pick his Jeep up. After being escorted out of the black community for making a decision to ride down there and attempt to instill fear in those people.
Yeah, we need to get. He's my service animal. That's why I really need to get him. But it's
Get you an Uber. Let's go. Here.
Get your mask on. Let's go.
I don't
give a fuck about my face right now.
Just take that black that shirt off, and you can get in my car.
Cool. Thank you, brother.
And then,
God bless you, dude.
if I got in the driver's seat of the car with the dog bite me, you think?
No.
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 Okay.
No.
He's
a good dog. He'll sniff you to death.
You make sure you got your keys.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Yeah, I got the key.
do you guys have? Are you guys done?
Yeah, we're done. We're done for the
There's
day.
no other.
No, we're just trying to go get the dog and get the Jeep, and then we're out. And then we're gone.
Let's go grab it.
Yeah, and I didn't see the time. Dude, we need to leave like forever ago, but
Make sure you got your seatbelt on. There, you might probably need my help.
I don't know how to do it, bro. I don't know how to shut the door. Is it right here?
Now, it's just a lot going on in Ohio, man. Like I said, man, on behalf of this channel, man, and the 1751 family, our hearts, our thoughts and our prayers goes out to the Ohio state as a whole, man. The residents in Ohio, man. And also the good officers, the fair officers, the ones who have dignity, who actually was sworn in, to protect and serve, and who follows out on their oath. Yeah, our hearts and our prayers are also with those officers. But the rest of those officers, whatever they have coming to them, man, whether it's here on earth or in the afterlife, one way or another, they will answer. They will answer. Nothing is going, unpunished, man. You know, if you think because you got away with so much by hiding behind a badge and just committing crimes against a certain demographic, you know, you will answer, whether it's here in this life or in the afterlife, man. You know, but not to get off topic, but yeah, man, I just want to see this situation with this guy, Brian, you know, Brian Wilson. I like to see everything that we've just witnessed in that courtroom in the first appearance of Rodney Hinton Jr. You know, the way those officers showed up, saying that they were coming to support the slain officer, the deceased officer, which we all know they were there to intimidate this guy. You know, after they killed his son, after they wrongfully, tragically, you know, just hunted his son down, man, and just took his young man from him, man. You know, but I like to see this turn out the same way, man. This man should be facing everything that Rodney Hinton Jr. is facing because they're in the same state, you know. Anyway, man, you know, this was a rather long one, man. But there's a lot going on out there, man. And you know, sometimes we can't rush to these things, and we can't report on them in 5 to 10 minutes. We could, but you wouldn't be able to touch on a lot of things in such a short period of time. But anyway, man, it was nice chilling with y'all today, man, kicking it with y'all. And until next time, man, don't forget to hit that like, comment, subscribe, man. Leave a comment down low. And until next video, y'all stay up.
At least 2 bursts of gunfire happened, with a definitive pause between them, and the deputy's body camera recorded the sounds of multiple clicks, consistent with a trigger being pulled, but a gun striking a fired cartridge or an empty chamber. Investigators found 2 guns believed to be fired by Wilson, a semi-automatic pistol and a revolver.